Welcome to the Solid Signal podcast for the week of September 22nd, 2014. Big story this week is actually the same as the big story last week. It's all about Apple. You know, I've been one of the Apple faithful on and off for a good long time. Actually started using Apple computers in the 70s, as many people of my generation did, and made a living on a Macintosh for a good long time. I'm afraid to say how long. And since 2010, I've been using Apple phones, and sometimes I'm happy and sometimes I'm sad. If you read the Solid Signal blog, or if you have been reading for the last couple of years, you'll know that I wasn't super happy with iOS 6 because it didn't bring anything to the table, and I wasn't super happy with the iPhone 5 for the same reason, because it really wasn't bigger, and I did want bigger. Well, Apple released iOS 7, which was a big jump forward, and they've now released iOS 8, which is more of a maintenance release, and it's a little bit of a tweak, and yes, it's a benefit, but it's not as massive. And of course, as all of you know by this point, last week finally you saw these bigger phones come out from Apple. They were released last week. Big enough for just about anybody. I mean, 5.5 inches is as big as a screen is going to get these days, unless you're talking about a true tablet. Apple is a funny story because, you know, on paper, they're still behind the times. Android faithful will love to tell you that the iPhone 6 is the phone that Android came out with in 2012. I can't say they're completely wrong, but I do think that that's a bit of a harsh criticism when you realize that this phone is lighter than anything that was around in 2012 and it has got really good build quality. No, the user interface maybe hasn't evolved as much as we'd like, and I'll freely admit that Apple is probably about half a generation behind at this point in a lot of ways. Certainly when it comes to rolling out new features, Apple has always preferred to let somebody else mess it up first and then come in and do it right. That's pretty much what they've done with all the improvements in iOS 8, which bring some parity between Apple and Android products. The important thing to point out here is that it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of difference. Apple sold 24 million iPhones before the thing even came out, which would be a very decent run for any other smartphone for its entire life. Apple will still keep selling iPhones all year long as other phones come and go and go and come, and will probably be up to the Galaxy S8 by the time the next iPhone comes out. Totally understood. Because when you really think about it, Apple has done a very good job of building an ecosystem that's just open enough, gives you just enough flexibility, but still gives you enough security so you feel comfortable with it. Most people do not really want to monkey with their phones. Most people don't want to root them or jailbreak them. They would like a few extra features, but they're not willing to go to the extent of actually messing up what they think is a relatively good thing. What Apple has discovered is the same thing that I guess I've discovered and a lot of people my age have. It's called middle age spread. Apple isn't the innovator that it was in 1999. I think we can agree on that. They're not bringing products to the market that you've never even seen or heard of or thought of before. It's not like that. Apple has settled into a comfortable middle age where they can give you features just about the time that you're ready for them. You don't have to strain to feel uncomfortable, and yeah, their products are going to maybe cost you a little bit more, but you're going to feel secure and happy in your purchase for a longer period of time. In other words, those commercials from Samsung are probably right. Apple has turned into the phone for your dad, or if you're my age, you. I'm not terribly upset about that, to be honest with you, because, you know, I spent my share of time on the cutting edge of consumer electronics, and in some areas I'm still very much on the cutting edge. But when it comes to a phone, I want something that works when I pick it up. Plain and simple. Apple delivers that, and they do it in a way that gives you style and functionality, doesn't make you feel like you've fallen and you can't get up, you're part of that generation, if you know what I'm saying. And yet, they don't give you something that's so unstable that it doesn't work. I would say to that, well done.